Hey, I'm back here at Tell the Truth Sports Radio, and I want to talk about the Sixers and Washington. I said that the Sixers would win in five. I still do believe that they beat Washington 125 to 118. It was somewhat of a competitive game. Bradley Beal kept in the game with 33 points. He earned it. And I'm going to tell you something. Tobias Harris, I don't know if he's going to give you 37 like he did today. Embiid was 30 points. I expect 30 plus every game from Embiid against his front line. I don't worry about Embiid at all. Seth Curry gave you 15. He hit three threes. Danny Green's the next track. He had 3 out of 4 threes, 11 points. And Ben's going to give you 6 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists. That's Ben Simmons at his best. He's a complete facilitator. And George Hill's solid. George Hill is solid, man. Shake Milton can play some defense. Thibault is a very good defensive player. And I'm going to tell you something. The Sixers defense is stifling. They got kids with long arms. Ben could guard Beal or Westbrook one-on-one. They man you up. Embiid's going to block some shots. They're going to defend. They're going to take the ball from you. The fans were all over the Wizards. The fans were loud. They smelled blood. They know when you got a good defensive team and you got great fans, they sense the moment like the Sixer fans did. And they took it from the Wizards. And Westbrook was 16 points, and he was kind of a kind of game like he had against the Celtics. Westbrook will have an explosion. He'll have one of 40, 20, 20 games, and the Wizards will win a game. And the Sixers will completely wipe them out. And I'm going to tell you something. The Philadelphia Sixers play good enough defense. They can win the whole thing. They can beat the Nets. And I'm starting to believe the Nets whooped up on the Celtics. And the Celtics played good in the first half. It was a solid first half. They had the lead. The Nets overwhelmed the Celtics. Outscored them 57-40 in the second half. They overwhelmed them. The Celtics had a nice first half. Marcus Smart was good, but then the second half you got Brooklyn, Durant 32, Kyrie 29, Harden 21, and 9 rebounds and 8 assists. And then Harris has 10 points. He hits 2 3-pointers. And you just get solid. You get a solid return out of your role players. And they're just solid. It's going to be hard to beat Durant, Irving, and Hart. And they have a great symmetry. Even with only 8 games playing together, I don't worry about those guys because the components of each player's game mixes well with each other, with how Kyrie drives and super aggressive, terrific one-on-one player that can pass. Harden, terrific assist man that can drive the basket, draw fouls, hit threes, doesn't step back, but is a genius when it comes to seeing the floor. I like this Harden. I was all over him on Houston with all that flopping. You don't see that. You see a focus Harden in this on the Nets. The type of guy I loved in Oklahoma when he played with Westbrook and Durant. And Durant is Durant. Durant can play in any system. As long as it's a chill, long as the coaching situation is chill and the players aren't idiots, he's going to function well. And he did. And these guys love to play with each other. And with the Sixers defense and the Nets, I like it because Milwaukee barely beat the Heat, and the Heat could have won again. The Heat, that was a sloppy effort by the Heat, and with Tyler Hero not playing toward the end, they had to play Ariza because of defensive matchups. But they got to figure out how to get Tyler Hero in there with Duncan Robinson, who could shoot. And Butler was bad. I didn't like. Butler made a game-tying shot, but I didn't like how he played. Turned the ball over. He was non-aggressive. He wasn't the Butler of last year. The Bucks will probably win in 5. Or it could go if Giannis is going to miss 4 out of 12 free throws at the end of the fourth quarter, it could go 7 just because Milwaukee underachieved. I don't trust Milwaukee, but they play good defense, and I trust Milton. Milton hit the game-winning shot. He's a baller. but the other guys are not performing super well. Holiday solid and Middleton solid, and that's good enough to get you 6 games from the Nets. But the Nets will win that series, and the Sixers will they'll beat the Hawks easier than the Knicks are a physical team. The Knicks will push the Sixers a little bit, but we're headed for the Sixers and the Nets, and that could be for the NBA championship. If the Lakers don't come out of the West, I don't trust anybody out of the West. I would root for Phoenix if Phoenix beat LA. If LA won, then LA's the only really threat to the Sixers or the Nets. And even that is iffy with the way the Sixers play D, can D you up, and they'll be home, and the Nets can score and play good enough defense. But the Clippers, I said the Clippers are going to sweep. What happened? Come on. 113-103 Dallas. Luka just he has his way against the Clippers. 31 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. And they tried to get slick and put Beverly on him, and big tough talking Beverly, and he just posted Beverly up and abused him like a child and talked to him. And it's just Luka Doncic had 31 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. He had 2 blocks to throw in that. Kawhi Leonard didn't have enough help, and the rest, Paul George was 2 of 8 from 3. Come on, man. You're creating that same pandemic P narrative. Zubac gives you 8. Morris only gave you 4. Remember I said you needed Morris? Rondo was solid. This is going to be a longer series than it should be. Now I think it can go 7. Playoff Rondo's going to have to really show up in this instant. That's the best I can do, but I don't trust the Clippers. I think the Clippers, they could go to finals, but I'm looking at them now. Boogie Cousins didn't play out. I was trying to factor that in. And Zubac is only giving you 8 points. And Hardaway on Dallas played well. And Dallas got a chip on their shoulder because they probably felt like they could beat the Clippers after last year. But I was impressed with the Suns over the weekend. That was a team that did, and the Trailblazers did what they had to do against the Nuggets without Murray. Lola had 32 points. Nurkic. You know what I love about Carmelo Anthony? He's turned into a good playmaker. Yeah, he had 18 points. I like how he moves the ball around and the 3 rebounds. Now, it says he has 1 assist, but there was a couple times where his ball movement led to points. And I loved how Carmelo played. So that's the landscape of the East and the West. And the final game is still being played. So that's going to be my final segment. The Grizzlies were up 3 against the Jazz. That'll be my final segment. But right now, I was very impressed with Phoenix. But I wonder if LeBron has a 32-point, 20 rebound, 10 assist game in him with how his age or ankle or whatever. So the Lakers should be able to help him out a little bit, but they're not. So either AD or him, they're going to have big games in order to keep the hope of them trying to get to the finals alive. Hey, everyone. This is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch, and I promise to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth when it comes to sports. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to go over the 2 biggest games of the day. First, the Hawks and Knicks. That was an exciting, intense game. The Garden was electric. They were loud. The Knicks were ready to play. But the Hawks were ready to play too, and they battled. Woo! Man, was this a battle. The halftime, both teams throwing haymakers. Toward the middle of the third quarter, the Knicks started to pull away. Trey Burks had 27 points, had a great game. He was balling out. Derrick Rose had 17 points. He was playing well. They were starting to get a hold of the Hawks until Nate McMillan, who coached a terrific game, inserted Lou Williams, who stabilized the Hawks. And toward the end of the quarter, they cut the lead to 2. So now going to the fourth quarter, they have a chance on the road to win instead of being down 11 or 12 where the Knicks can really jump on you and finish you off. And I think what hurt the Knicks, Julius Randle don't forget the stats. He didn't have a good game at all. Turn the ball over, offensive fouls, indecision, missed shots. That wasn't one of his stellar games. So in the fourth quarter, Burks did what he had to do. Burks hits the three-point shot, puts him up. Julius Randle did hit a big three. That was one play he did with 1:58 left. Young drives in the foul. He really didn't get fouled on that, but they called it. And then Burks hits a three-point shot. It makes it 101 to 100. And then Burks turned the ball. Trey Young turns the ball over. Burks hits a shot, 103, 101. The Knicks had 62 bench points in the game. The bench played well to cover up for Julius Randle's poor game. Then Bogdanovich hit a huge three-point shot after Trey Young made a terrific pass. Trey Young did everything. Then he actually did draw a foul with R.J. Barrett. That was not much of a foul, but it was a really letter of the law. It was a foul. I didn't have a problem with the call. I had a problem with the other and what the call. He didn't get touched. But this one, R.J. Barrett did make contact. So I was good with that. 105, 103, 22 seconds left. Gibson gets the offensive rebound, gives it to Derrick Rose. He makes a great shot off balance, ties the score. So with 9 seconds left, Trey Young makes his move. He crosses his man over. They double team. He drives past the double team, shoots a floater in the lane, makes a shot, and the Hawks win. It was a terrific shot. You got to see the highlights. He gets the ball at half court, crosses the guy over twice, goes to his right, which he likes to do, drives in the lane, and does a little teardrop shot. And he's so quick the Knicks couldn't even, once he got past the double, the Knicks couldn't recover quick enough. Because if they do, he's such a great passer. He dishes inside for a dunk for Collins, or he gives it to Bogdanovich, who hits a three. Darn if you do, darn if you don't with this guy. And he could draw fouls. He could hit big threes and he can hit long-range threes. So you got to guard him way outside. Now he can get around you with his quickness. He draws a foul, and he's a terrific money passer. And you saw that in the game. And he was the best player in the court. And I think the Knicks are a better team, but he's the best player in the court. I wonder how that will play out in this series. I think it's going to be very close. Tibbs did a terrific job coaching. Nate McMillan did a terrific job. I tell you what I liked about Nate McMillan. He felt the pulse of the team. And during the sideline huddle, he's like, listen, we're just not running a half-court offense right now. Then near the third quarter, they're down 7. He's like, listen, we're not playing with force. We're not boxing out. Box out. Play physical. And they did a better job, and they did a good job on Julius Randle. And the Hawks have a nice mix with Hunter and Collins playing well, Capella getting offensive rebounds, and then the perimeter with Bogdanovich and Gallinari and Lou Williams gives you good veteran leadership off the bench. And then the great Trey Young. And I'm going to tell you something. This is why I changed my name to Tell the Truth Sports Radio. The Luka Doncic, Trey Young trade, that was not Dallas getting a steal. It was not a steal. Luka Doncic, you could make a case, might be slightly better than Trey Young because he's a little bigger, he's taller. They both do the exact same thing. Trey Young shoots it better. Luka, they're both very good at controlling tempo. They're terrific off they're beautiful off the pick and roll with the way they can drive and shoot and score and set their teammates up. They're very good at drawing fouls. They're very crafty. They're both very smart. Luka's a little taller and a little wider. So that gives them more of an advantage in this type of a dribble drive NBA. But Trey Young is just as money. So both teams did well. Trey Young fits Atlanta style. Luka fits Dallas style. So I think both teams won. You want to give a slight, and I mean slight edge to Dallas. That's all I'm giving you. That's not a steal. Don't listen to the fakers that fake sports talk radio or sports TV talk, because I'm starting to realize there's a lot of fakers that just make up stuff. You got to look with your own eyes. You got to look at the stats. You got to look at the games, and then the fourth quarter, the decision making. That's what it comes down to. Kudos for Atlanta, and I think the key for Atlanta is to make this a 6-game series. I believe the Knicks are going to beat up Atlanta in game 2. I think that's a throwaway game. When you went on the road, 2 hotly contested, evenly matched up teams. If the road team wins game 1, usually they kind of let down on game 2. I think game 2 is a throwaway game. And then it's on in Atlanta. The next 3 games 3 and 4. Could the Knicks split? Could they go home? They better split. Go home, win game 5, lose game 6, and get it to game 7. The Knicks have to figure out how to get this to game 7. If it gets to game 7 at home, I just think they'll find a way to get it done. If the Hawks have a 3-2 lead and it's going to the ATL, the Hawks are going to finish the Knicks off. That's how highly contested this series is. Now let's get to the Laker game. The Suns came ready to play, and the Lakers didn't. And they beat the Lakers 99-90. And it was a 9 to 11 point lead the entire game. The Suns controlled the tempo. Booker was fantastic with 35 points. And the Lakers were, LeBron had 18. Schroeder had 14. Davis was bad, 13 points, non-aggressive, getting smoked by Aiden, who had 21 points and 16 rebounds. Now, come on. And Chris Paul had 8 assists and 7 points. And he's happy with that as long as they're winning. And the Phoenix made winning plays and Lakers didn't. And Lakers cut the gap. They made a little bit of a run, cut it within 5. But I'm going to tell you something. I knew the game was over when Booker threw an alley-oop to Ayton and they went up 12 and the crowd was going crazy. And this is what I underestimated. In Phoenix, I thought there'd be more Laker fans. There was no Laker fans. That crowd was loud. The Knicks crowd was loud. The Phoenix crowd was loud. The Milwaukee crowd was loud. The Sixer crowd was very loud, just like the Knicks crowd. And now fans are coming in and players aren't used to playing on the road with crowds. And the road team could be in trouble in some of these games. And you see it. You see it all over, and especially the Phoenix game. And like I told you, my other broadcast and my NBA predictions, I have an NBA prediction show you want to listen to. If Phoenix gets game 2, that's the formula for them to get out of the series. If this gets split and it goes to LA and LeBron and AD get comfortable, if the teammates show up, you got a series. Caldwell Pope and AD was terrible. I expect better from them. I don't expect anything from Kuzma now. I'm on the verge of just saying I'm ready to move on with Kuzma. Just let him. You're going to get pennies on the dollar with a trade with this guy. He's going to give you, most of the time, he's going to give you 2 points and maybe an assist and half a rebound. If that is even a stat. That's Kuzma. And he might give you 20 points. If the Lakers are up 3-1 and they're going to close them out, that might be a game where he gives you 20. But when you need him, for the most part, he's done nothing. He hasn't delivered. I don't expect him to do much. I've lost all confidence in Kyle Kuzma. All confidence in him. I do believe in KCP. I think he comes back. But I tell you, I like this Phoenix team. If Phoenix get out of this series, I'd root for Paul to get to the finals. I like Mikal Bridges. Love him. Love his energy. It's more than just the 10 points and 4 rebounds he had. He gives you a lot more. Crowder's a tough dude. Aiden kicked the Lakers bigs behind. That cannot happen. Drummond and AD, they got to do better than that. So the Suns, the home court could mean a little bit of a difference. Maybe not. We'll see. Game 2 will be very interesting. Will give me a gauge of how this series is going to go. When I come back, I'm going to give you the breakdown of the rest of the games. Well. What have we here? Big upset. The Memphis Grizzlies upset the Utah Jazz 112 to 109, and Utah did not think this was going to happen. I thought the Grizzlies weren't really ready. Number one. Number two, the emotional win over Golden State. I didn't think they would have anything emotional. They had plenty. They must have smelled blood. No Donovan Mitchell. They got out to they were down, then they took a 6 point lead at the half, and it got up to 15 after Jaren Jackson hits a 3 point shot in the fourth quarter. And for the first 3 quarters, Dylan Brooks destroyed. Destroyed the Utah Jazz, and that kept them in the lead. And he sat the bench, and the bench did well. Grayson Allen hit some shots, uh, and they played well. And their bench was solid, and that's what stabilized the. And Bain hit a three to end that third quarter, big three. And Utah battled, and after that, Utah just came on strong. Gobert fouled out, but Favors was playing well, so it wasn't the biggest factor in the world. And Bogdanovich played very well in the fourth quarter, hitting 4 threes, really playing well. Conley came on strong, and Utah just kept coming and coming and coming. But the thing was, Ja Morant, who had 26 points and 4 assists and 4 rebounds. Ja Morant was making shot after shot, driving in the lane with the teardrop, driving in the lane with the left hand, driving in the lane with his amazingly beautiful left-handed scoop where he hung in the air in traffic over Gobert's stretched arms, just taking his man off the dribble time after time after time in the fourth quarter. Drives to the hoop for a layup, drives to the hoop for a bank shot. Every time Utah would come with a body punch or a haymaker, Ja Morant would make the shots he had to make, and they did what they had to do. And then it got down to 3, and Kyle Anderson made it smart. He played a good game and committed a foul on Bogdanovich. He makes the free throws. Brooks scored. No, Brooks did score a point. He had 29 points in the first 3 quarters. He did score the last 2 on a layup to give him a 3-point lead, and Bogdanovich missed the long 3-point shot, and Utah wins. They deserve to win. They outplay Utah. Donovan Mitchell better come back. He wanted to play game 1, and I think Utah figured, we'll beat the Grizzlies without Donovan Mitchell. They're coming out of an emotional game, and they paid for it. And now he will play game 2. He'll play the rest of the series, or they will go home. So no matter what percent he is, he will play. We'll see how effective he plays that ankle injury.